What's going on, guys? I just wanted to make a quick video on Brie Larson, Miss Captain Marvel. Who just spoke. I just saw a video she spoke at the women's conference, and it was complete filth because she took the opportunity not to unify the country and all the problems that we have going on right now, but to yet again disparage white men and divide the country even further by using divisive left-wing tactics to continue to perpetuate a victimhood culture. That's what she did. She had the audacity to get up on stage and immediately start slandering white men and insinuating that when her movie comes out that she's not going to be taking criticism from white people. Hello, you're white. Like, what does that even mean? Like, does she think she's another color? You know how stupid that sounds? And she continued to say that we live in a misogynistic, sexist, racist, oppressive culture. And that if her movie doesn't do good, it's because of that. It's because of that. Not that maybe she might be a shitty actress, or that the movie might just be shitty, or that the production was shitty. No, if it does bad, it's because men are sexist. And we live in a sexist culture that's dominated by men who refuse to spend their hard-earned dollars on movies that star women. This is a foolish narrative perpetuated by the left, but this again is what's rewarded in our culture, is victimhood. You know, if you play the victim before your movie comes out and perpetuate an idea that white men are inherently sexist and racist, then you might get some sympathy ticket sales. And you're already laying the foundation for excuses on if the movie flops. It's not because it was bad, it's because white men are evil and they're oppressive and they're racist. I mean, think about who your audience is here when you get up there and say this. Most of your audience in the Marvel series are going to be young white men. That's just facts. A majority of the comic book readers and buyers in the country are men between the ages of 8 and 14. What do you think they feel? How do you think they feel right now that every single time they get online and turn the TV on, all they hear are white people are evil? I mean, I'm sure her studio, who probably put a lot of money into this, they are probably going crazy on these comments. But so is she implying that young white men are racist if her movie flops? Because that's going to be probably a majority of her ticket sales. Yeah, Brie. Keep telling yourself that we live in this deep-seated, dark underbelly where we have wild sexism from young men between the ages of 8 and 14. It's funny, when Wonder Woman came out, I didn't hear them disparaging white men. And that movie did boatloads of money at the box office. Because here we go again. You're making excuses and setting a victimhood platform to leverage your movie in case something goes wrong. You know, people don't care, and especially young men, don't give a shit if it's a woman lead actress. And it's a perfect example with Wonder Woman that did hundreds of millions of dollars. A majority of those ticket sales were young men. They're not standing by their computer and on Instagram complaining and you know, violently criticizing women in this sexist underbelly world that she's perpetuating here. They wanted to see the movie and they went and bought ticket sales. No, what you're doing now is what's going to hurt some of the ticket sales of the movie. And perpetuating this idea of victimhood. It's like Ghostbusters. You know, they played the same card because that's the cool thing to do. It's not cool to look objectively at a horrible movie that you made. It's just easier to say, we live in a sexist world, blame the white man. And that's what's going on. Ghostbusters was, in my opinion, a horror show. Terrible actresses, terrible acting, and horribly unfunny. And it flopped, you know. It laid an egg at the theaters. And their very first reaction was not that our movie is shitty, or that maybe the production was bad, or maybe that the studio didn't put enough money into marketing and advertising. You know, objectively look at, you know, possible reasons on why this movie flopped. No, it's just easier to say white men are sexist. And they didn't want to come and see the movie because white women or women were starring in the Ghostbuster movie. This is a filthy slander towards American men. A filthy slander towards American men. And yet, it's not condemned because it's encouraged. It's encouraged. And another thing that Brie said is that she was talking about the sort of the demographic of movie critics that we have, and she said that on movies that gross over $100 million, 65% of the critics are 40-year-old and older white men. And she had the audacity to stand up on that platform and talk about A Wrinkle in Time, the movie that came out. And she said that a movie of color and culture and a love story has absolutely zero reason. And she had the audacity to stand up there and say that this movie of color had absolutely no right to have white men be the critics of this movie. Because apparently white men don't understand love. This is inherently racist. And she took it a step further and said that the actual intended audience of the movie didn't deserve to be watched by older white men. Who in the fuck do you think is going to be taking their daughters to go and see this movie? Their 10-year-old daughters. 40-year-old white men. And here you are. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what Disney thought when they created this movie. Let's sink $100 million into this movie and completely isolate white America. Are you kidding me? Do you know the level of stupidity that you have to go to make that kind of comment? I mean, who do you think is going to be taking their 10-year-old daughters to see this movie? 40-year-old white men. And then you have the audacity to say that not only do white men, they don't deserve to go and see this movie because apparently they won't understand a movie of color, but that they also don't have the right to make criticism of this movie. This is a filthy slander again, and it's inherently racist. And it's prejudice to assume that all white men have the same movie taste. Like, white men can only like a specific genre. Like, white men and white people in general aren't allowed to like a black love story. Like, what the fuck? Do you know how foolish this is? This is so prejudiced and so racist. And not a word in mainstream media. Not a word. And this is the insanity that is going on right now in our country. This is what happens when you perpetuate victimhood. When victimhood is rewarded, it breeds insanity and it breeds manipulation of the system. This is what happens. This is who you get. You get Brie Larson up here saying she lives in an oppressive country run by dominant male, yet she's driving a Tesla in California, living in Beverly Hills, making multi-million-dollar movies, and probably just starred in what's presumably going to be a blockbuster hit. Yeah, I think she needs to open a book and look around the world and see what real oppression means. That's a filthy slander against white men. A filthy slander. So anyway, I just wanted to vent a little bit on what I just saw. I had to get it off my chest. So leave comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm also going to leave a link to some of my other videos that kind of talk about victimhood status perpetuated by the left, certainly by feminists. And let me know what you think, guys. We'll see you later.